Today on Larry King Now, it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the Veep star on Lunching with the Real Veep Joe Biden.
I met a lot of his staff, and they described themselves to me as characters in the show. It was just wild.
And from Seinfeld to Veep, what's the secret to her extraordinary success?
We had fun. And I think if you're really, truly having fun and you're not bullshitting your way through it, people pick up on that.
Plus, if you weren't an entertainer, what would you be?
Unemployed.
It's all next on Larry King Now. What a special guest today on Larry King Now, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. You may or may not know her as Elaine Venice, the character she played for 9 seasons on a little-known show called Seinfeld. She's already taken home an Emmy for her role in Veep as our fictional Vice President, Selina Meyer. That show just started its 2nd season on HBO. It airs Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern. You had lunch with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
What was that like? The Vice President meets the Vice President.
I'm telling you, man, it was
so
thrilling. It was thrilling. He couldn't have been more charming.
There it is.
Look can you see how much fun we're having? And look at that nice smile he has. And that was his best.
I've known him for 35 years, interviewed him many times when he was a senator. He's the best guy. He's a regular guy. It
worked out so well. In fact, we were having lunch in his office and someone on his staff said, you should go and sit behind his desk so you're behind his desk when he comes back in. And so I did, and then he came back in and we started doing bits with him handing me paperwork and stuff like that. And he was he has a great sense of humor.
How did Veep come about?
Veep came about because, let's see, how did it come about? Well, I'll tell you, my agent, my good old CIA agent, Mike Rosenfeld, said they're developing this show at HBO about an unhappy vice president. And as soon as he said that, I thought, oh my God, it sounds, I like this area. No one's ever done it before. And so I met with Armando Iannucci, who is the genius voice and behind this show, and he's very creator, of course. And he wrote a movie that he got an Academy Award nomination for called In the Loop, and he has a very, very wonderful series in the UK called The Thick of It. And I was familiar with his work, and we met for what was meant to be about 45 minutes to have a cup of coffee, and it turned into a 3.5-hour meeting, and we were talking about ideas and where it should go and who are these people and who is Selina, and I was just immediately fell in love with him and the notion of this show.
It is so funny.
Thank you.
So well written. Was there any question about using the language they use on that show?
No. No question.
It was definitely going to be an adult show.
Of course, it is fun for me, having been on network television for so many years, to be able to have the freedom to
be honest,
swear, and so on and so forth. But also, I think it's very symbolic in terms of sort of pulling back the curtains on, is what the point of the show is, to show, to pull back the curtains on the political world and what are these people really like behind closed doors. And so I think the language helps illustrate the difference between behind and in the screen and in front of, you know what I mean? Or behind the camera, in front of the camera.
You grew up in Washington.
I did.
Now, most stories I spent 20 years there, most stories over the years, the vice president is kind of like an afterthought.
That's right, and that's why her main office is in the executive office building. And it wouldn't be a funny show if it was working out well for her, of course.
That's right.
But originally, it wasn't until Mondale, in fact, that the vice president had an office in the West Wing, and up until that time, it was only at the Eisenhower Executive Office
They were like an
building.
afterthought.
From a constitutional point of view, the vice president really only has 2 duties: to break a tie, should there be one in the Senate, and to step in for the president should he or she become unable to govern. So
Lyndon
that's
Johnson, I just finished the Caro 3rd book. He hated it. He hated every day of it.
Hated every day of it. Isn't that incredible writing? That's the story that he tells.
You're really into this, huh?
Yeah.
What party is she a member of?
You will never know.
Never know.
You'll never know. Mm-mm.
And her relationship with the president could be described as?
Dysfunctional. Not. It could be described as not.
There's a conscious effort not to be political. Was the standard? Was that the idea from the beginning? So we would just let it go the way it is.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart decision because once we start showing bias, then it becomes about a platform, maybe about talking about a particular point of view, and I'm not poo-pooing that. I think that has its place in certain other kinds of entertainment. You know, I mean, obviously West Wing was very left-leaning, and it was a great show. But in this show, we're keeping it, we're just in one party and they're in the other party. And I think in so doing, we're allowing everybody to laugh, and we're not laughing at a particular point of view so much.
You also beautifully spoof staff members. Mm-hmm. You make them kind of sometimes idiotic.
Sure, yeah, of course, we have to. But you know, it was so funny because when I was just at the West Wing the other day, and when I had lunch with the vice president, and I met a lot of his staff, and they described themselves to me as characters in the show. Like somebody said, someone said, I'm the Dan Egan of The Office, and really, I'm the Gary Walsh of The Office. It was just wild. It was interesting.
Is it fun to do?
Well, I have to say, it's utter joy. It really is. It's hard damn work.
Because?
Well, because it's single camera, because we you know, for every half hour you see, there's another 25 minutes of material that didn't make the show. We shoot a lot. And so the hours are very long, and I'm away from home. Most of us are away from home, but we have a very, very congenial group of people who are proud of the product, and we're having a good time.
The show is Veep. Next, we'll have Julia comment on the similarities between Hollywood and Washington. She would know. She grew up in one place, spent a lot of time in the other. Stay with us. We're back with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She stars in Veep, a hysterical show you watch on HBO. If you haven't seen it, see it. It is really his. By the way, do you keep in touch with Al Franken?
I just saw Al Franken last week, and
he doesn't speak in the Senate. It's impossible to believe that. He's the quietest senator. I know Al Franken. He's crazy. He's funny.
He's fantastic.
How does he keep quiet?
I don't know, man. He's. I guess they're not. The jokes. Maybe they're not going to play for some reason on the Senate floor. I'm not sure. I don't know.
There's a lot of similarity between Washington and Hollywood.
Specifically, you know, it's interesting that, for instance, even in the West Wing, it may be the smallest, shittiest office, but if it's close to where the president's office, it's the most powerful office.
Access.
So access, right, exactly. But there are similarities that I certainly use and think about a lot as I play Selena, and that is to say, you are. You know, there's a way of presenting yourself and selling yourself and trying to stay alive and stay present that's very much a part of political life, and it's very much a part of course, life in show business.
What is Selena's personal life like?
It's not good. She has a daughter who is a freshman in college. They have difficulty communicating. She has an ex-husband that is in a very sort of fraught relationship. It's either extremely passionate or it's extremely acrimonious. And we'll meet her ex-husband in season 2.
Oh, we will?
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Great
Played by
cast.
a wonderful David Pasquesi, who plays the ex-husband. And we have a great cast in fact.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we really do.
Have you always been comfortable around comedy?
Yes.
Were you ever a stand-up?
I've never done
Saturday Night
stand-up.
Live, that's where you got known, right?
Well, yeah, I did. I was hired to do Saturday Night Live at the young age of 21, believe it or not, and I was going to school in Chicago and at Northwestern, and I got hired to do that, and then I've sort of been working ever since then. I didn't come out of Saturday Night Live a star by any stretch of the imagination.
But always done comedy?
Yeah, it seems to be the jobs I get. I mean, I've done. Yeah, these are the jobs I get. I don't know why.
Ever done a serious play or movie?
Not particularly.
Would you like to?
Yes, I would.
I think you would, because it would be
fun.
Because comedians do well with drama.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I made. Yeah, I would like to. And you know what? Maybe I will.
You ever crack up? All the time.
A couple of people on our set, Tony Hale, Actually, pretty much everybody on our set makes me laugh, and that's the joy of it, really, because if you really find it that funny and you can't keep it together, then you know you got something good going.
How do you enjoy or not enjoy being on billboards everywhere? See, I mean, they're really going to town with Veep this year. Really going to town.
Yeah, I know, it's all over the place. But yeah, I mean,
how does that feel?
Well, it's very odd.
On the CNN building on Sunset, I used to be half the building. They had it was like 80 feet high.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I drive, and it was awkward to me. It was like weird.
It is kind of strange.
Don't you feel kind of funny?
Yeah. Well, the last season they put a big thing of me up there on Sunset, and I went there and I took my picture underneath it and sent it to my mom. You know, because it's just so it's hey Ma, look at me kind of thing. Yeah, it's bizarre. You know. Any
kind of crazy things happen in season 2? Well, we're going to meet your ex-husband.
You're going to meet my ex-husband. Selena Meyer is going to get a lot more power and responsibility.
Oh, really?
Yes, she is. And she's going to get sort of closer to the president as a result. And then, of course, things happen. It's a double-edged sword, shall we say. So
I have a feeling that maybe not this year, but in season 3, the president will somehow be disabled.
Is that what you think?
If I were writing the show, if I were involved in the show, I would say, let's have her be acting president.
Well, listen, you give me your resume, and I'll submit it to our executive producer.
The president has a mild heart attack, and he's therefore in intensive care.
Okay.
And she's in charge for a week.
Then what happens?
Play with it.
Play with it?
Yeah.
You got to write it, man.
Oh, okay. Well, that
this is not how we work.
I'm an idea guy. Coming up next, Julia is now the most nominated comedic actress in Emmy history. If she ever gets sick of all the attention, we'll talk Seinfeld right after the break. I'm dying to call her Louis.
You can.
You got a male name. Why did they call you Louis? Why did they?
Well, you're calling me Louis. My name is Julia. That's not male, is it?
I know, but Louis.
Louis.
Your middle name is Louis.
No, it's not. It's part of my last name. It's Louis-Dreyfus. See, this is why you can't write for my show, for starters. Because you don't even know who the hell I am.
It's male-oriented, isn't it?
No, it's not.
You regard Louis as a normal name?
Yeah, it's plenty normal.
Okay. Why is
Larry?
it? Well, okay. I like a hyphenated name. Tony Randall said, comedy is a serious business. Is it? Doing it well?
Yeah, it is. It is. It doesn't mean it's not fun.
But timing.
Yeah, I would think so.
You got it or you don't. Why? Now, this is insane over all these years.
What?
Why did Seinfeld, you could watch any of them from any year, and it holds up. Why did that work?
It was lightning in a bottle. I think fundamentally it worked because it was well written. You know, I'd like to say to you it's because we were such genius performances.
Well,
but
it was pretty good cast.
No, I'm not knocking us really, but I think fundamentally, if it's not on the page, you're screwed. Okay, so anybody who thinks otherwise is wrong. And then we had a good cast, and we got along really well, and we had a shared sensibility of what was funny, and we had fun. And I think if you're really, truly having fun, and you're not bullshitting your way through it, people pick up on that. I think.
Larry David is a genius.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And Curb Your Enthusiasm is just a continuation, basically, of Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything worked. When you'd get the scripts each week,
what
was that like, to go through how everything comes together?
It was, well, first of all, it was a long time ago, but I just remember, I mean, as the series went on, these episodes got longer and longer and longer. I mean, that is to say, the scripts. Sometimes we had 60-page scripts, which is unheard of for a half an hour in television, particularly on network, because it's really 22 minutes of material. But it was, I don't know, man, it was just a joy. I'm so lucky to have been able to do that.
What was it like getting together on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
It's like being in a time capsule, really, because they put our set back together. And so we were back into Jerry's apartment, although they'd like redone the cabinets so they looked more, contemporary, as if Jerry had redone the cabinets in his crappy little apartment. And and we'd been apart for so long, and then coming back there and playing those characters again, it really was like going back in time. It was a wonderful feeling in a weird way.
When that show started, did you have to try out for it? Did you have to audition?
Well, it was strange, yes and no. What had happened was Larry and I were on Saturday Night Live together. He was there for my last year, and we bonded during that year in the sense that we were both really miserable there.
Really?
Yeah. He didn't get one sketch on the air, not one.
You're kidding.
No, I think he got one to dress rehearsal and then it got cut. And so we sort of bonded in our misery, and I was like barely getting airtime and stuff like that. So then, a couple years later, I got sent these 4 scripts, as I recall, and saying, would you read them and what did you think? And by the way, and I wasn't even in 2 of those scripts, and it was clearly not my show at all, and I was, in fact, had a development deal or just gotten out of a development deal to develop my own series. So I was like, this is really ensemble-y. And then I read it and I thought, wow, it's incredible writing. The writing was such a cut above anything else that I had seen or read. And so I went and Larry was there and he said, what do you think? And I said, I think it's really funny. And then I met Jer and we read a scene together and we got along really well and we hung out. I remember he was eating cereal, just sitting there eating cereal. We were talking. And then we made a deal over the weekend and we shot the next week. I mean, it was really very relaxed.
Did you think it would work?
No, I thought it was too good to work. I remember thinking, this is so good, I think people they're not gonna grab it because it's too fabulous.
You think Lorne Michaels regrets having never used a Larry David script?
Well, Lorne Michaels wasn't there when we were there together. It was a different...
Really? Was he away from it for a while?
Yeah, Lorne left for about 5 years, and that's when both Larry and I were on the show.
Whoever did it made a mistake.
Yeah.
Next, how Julia's juggled family, marriage, and fame in the unpredictable industry that she's in. And we'll get her to play a game of If You Only Knew, and we'll have no idea where that's going to go. Don't go away.
Uh-oh.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the star of Veep on HBO. It airs Sunday nights at 10 Eastern. It is hysterical. If you haven't seen it, it's hysterical television. You're married to your college sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
What college? Northwestern, right?
Yes.
What does he do?
He's a writer and producer and an actor, too. But mainly a writer and producer and director and a director.
How's it work? Now, you go to Baltimore, you come back here, you raise 2 children. How has this worked?
Well, first of all, I married the right guy, so that was a good start.
He was on Saturday Night Live. Right?
He was, yeah, Brad Hall, and he's a wonderful fellow. I have been lucky enough to, and also I made conscious decisions to stay at home when my kids were very young. So when we made Seinfeld here, most people don't know this, but we made it in Los Angeles, and all the work that I've done since I've had kids has been in LA. So this is the first time I've ever been on location. My youngest son is now 15 years old. So I've never been able to really leave home until now, and I do so reluctantly, but I come home as frequently as I possibly can, and they come to me. So it's...
Oh, they do go to Baltimore?
Yeah, but I come home more than they come to me because of his schoolwork and his sports commitments and so on and so forth. But anyway,
has it been difficult to juggle this family and work?
I guess you could say it's been difficult, but yet at the same time it hasn't been, because I've been made, I've felt pretty much in control about it. I mean, I've made certain decisions that were really, I knew what my priorities were, and my priorities are my children. And so there's certain things I did not do because I just couldn't leave home.
How does it feel to be tied with Lucille Ball for all-time Emmy nominations?
I keep wondering if they got that number wrong.
You keep good company.
Well, it's quite extraordinary, but it's sort of hard to believe, you know? It's hard to fathom.
It's a little pinch yourself, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what?
We play a game of If You Only Knew. This
All
is just, like little things off the top.
Oh, God.
First person you ever kissed? It was in Washington.
The first person I ever kissed?
Well, you grew up in Washington, right?
No, but it isn't in Washington. I was in Sri Lanka, and I kissed a boy named Johnny. Am I actually really answering these questions?
Yeah, what were you doing in Sri Lanka?
Oh, well, my dad worked for an organization called Project Hope, and he was...
Oh, I know Project Hope.
Yeah, so we lived there for a year.
How old were you when you kissed the boy?
I was 7.
And his name was?
Johnny. I'm not going to say his last name because I don't know what his deal is now. But anyway, I just remember he kissed me.
Wow. Your favorite vice president?
Joe Biden.
Do you have a guilty pleasure we don't know about?
Sure. What might you not know? I mean, I just adore chocolate and I eat it every day.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Milk or dark?
Dark, dark.
Dark?
Yeah,
I mean,
what's
it's
wrong with
healthy.
you? You like milk?
You don't like milk chocolate?
Not like I like dark chocolate.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you come on.
No,
Dark
come on.
chocolate is much better for you.
Maybe
And
better for you, but
it's very tasty. I think it's much
the
better.
reason it's better for, the reason milk chocolate is not better for you is why it tastes so good. Okay.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on that.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
My posture.
You don't have good posture?
No, it's terrible.
Most embarrassing moment?
Oh, I can't think. Might be at this moment right now when I can't identify.
Thing that scares you the most?
Lions?
Lions.
Sure, why not?
Why not? That's a good. In other words, you wouldn't hang around with a lion.
Would you want to hang around with a lion?
No, you're right. Mice don't scare me.
No, of course not.
If you weren't an entertainer, what would you be?
Unemployed.
Best advice you ever received?
Have fun at all costs.
Person you most look up to?
My husband.
What makes you laugh?
A good fart.
A good fart. You think farts are funny?
I know they're funny. I don't think it.
Who was the guy who used to have the little fart machine?
I don't know. My uncle. Anybody.
No, there was a guy who went on the Tonight Show, and he used to play a fart machine. You'd have loved it.
I love it now, just hearing about it.
You are a delight, Louis.
Thank you, Larry.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Thank you so much.
Catch her on Veep Sundays at 10, only on HBO. And you can tweet me at, do you tweet?
Yeah.
Okay, you can tweet me at King's Things. What's your tweet?
You can tweet me at where's the camera? Who am I talking to? Here?
Oh, somewhere over there, yeah.
At official JLD. Official JLD, that's me.
Wow. See you next time. I could play the president,
You could.
but I won't.
That's right.
Good night.